Speaking of treats, what we have going on here now is a cosplay panel. So we're a little shorter for time than originally planned, so I'll just bring out our guests in no particular order. Black Ace cosplay. Loopy the Lamb cosplay. Beatrix cosplay. And last but certainly not least, Vice Admiral Deanna Smythe cosplay. She's been the driving force doing all the work for the cosplay activities this convention, working her butt off, and it's a loss the community cannot bear. Trust me. Anyway, welcome to the panel. I have a list of questions. Unfortunately, we won't have time for audience questions, so hopefully we'll ask something along the lines of what you would ask. And, oh, can I take the seat?
Yes.
Oh, boy. Okay, I suppose the format is going to be, we're going to ask a question. Each one of you will give your answer. So grab a microphone when it's your turn, and we'll get right into it. First question, obvious but essential. How did you first get into cosplay? And who would like to start?
Actually, for me, was I think I was like 9 or 10. I was watching Shaman King, and I was really interested by the bell that they had on their hand that were communicating in between the participants in the tournament. And I had one made out of cardboard. That was really crappy version of it, but I was so proud of it. And like 10 years later, I actually got into cosplay, but I think that was the spark.
We're taking one by one.
Yeah, just move up and down the line. Everybody gets to answer the question.
It was by mistake. I was I was making Assassin's Creed costume, and on Cosplay Romania group of where all the cosplayers in Romania are. I hope cosplayers that are here in the audience know about this. They were looking for another member because they were making a group cosplay from Assassin's Creed. So I said, yeah, I'm going to join you. So yeah.
So for me, it was also an accident. It was not about cosplay. I was making charms. It was a trend back in 2003 or 4 in USA when they were really popular doing clay charms and kind of handmade jewelry. So I started making them. So then I tried like bigger pieces, and then bigger and bigger and bigger until my first cosplay, let's say, piece, which was a bleach Arankar mask or something like that. So that was the first piece I made.
Are you ever thinking of getting into any elaborate cosplays anytime in the future? Okay, we'll wait.
So for me, it was, I think, about 2010. Cosplay was still kind of at the beginning then. Like I had just escaped onto the internet, and I didn't think it was something that happened in Romania. And at some point we discovered that, oh, hey, we've got a convention. Let's go. Wait, if we're going, let's do cosplay. So it wasn't something very thought out. It was just like a closet cosplay. I threw some things together, thrifted some items, and just went and had fun. And a follow-up story, I didn't think I would get into it. Like for me, it was something that, I don't know, maybe once in a while. But then I went to said convention, and then I saw Olivia go on stage with the huge Athena armor, and I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah, that was my story as well. Olivia Shinju. Where is she now? Sweden?
Switzerland.
One of those places up there with a nice scenery. But yeah, I'd been living here almost 6, 7 years. And I had to hear about cosplay in Bucharest from somebody living in Cluj. So definitely humble beginnings. We talk here about starting with cardboard and starting by accident. And now these people are your judges for the competition coming up next. So definitely doesn't matter how small you start from, you reach the top. Okay, our next question. How many different skills would you say go into cosplaying?
A lot. Like, you ever watch a movie and then at the end you see the credits and you've got the entire production team rolling? That's all you gotta do to do a cosplay. Like, you've got makeup, you've got wigs, you've got patterning, tailoring, armor making, electronics. And if you're going up on stage here, you also need like the acting part, the script writing, maybe like a little bit of audio. It's complicated business, but it is fun. So as the costumes that you're gonna see go up on stage later today after our lovely selves move on into the public, a lot of people are very passionate about it. So it's worth the effort.
You guys would agree? Adding anything?
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
Yeah? Okay. You're not mentioning the biggest skill of all you need to do cosplay, which is tolerance for pain. Yeah, and lack of sleep. Basically self-abuse. So that's the number one ingredient. All
And
right.
heat. And heat. Yeah.
Yes. What's the most important aspect of the cosplaying process to you individually?
For me personally, I think it's about investing in good materials and good tools to work with. That's an aspect that most of the new cosplayers don't tend to give an importance, because they may think, oh, I shouldn't invest that much because it might not turn as good as I expect. But it's like a friend who is a doctor told me, it's useless if you are a good doctor if you don't have the right tools to work with. So it's the same for cosplay.
And also mostly about planning. Like, you have to actually think about what you want to make, what cosplay, what character you like, and if you actually identify with it. Also plan the stages of the build. If you want to start with different parts, or if you know that different parts will take more time to work on, you really have to have a schedule.
If I were to impart something, would be make sure that your costume is wearable at least halfway through the process. That way, maybe you don't finish all of the details that you want to put on a costume, but at least you have something to take to the con floor.
Yeah, I've got a cosplay from Star Wars that fits very well on the mannequin. I have no hope of ever wearing it, so. Okay, I think this next question is an example of taking longer for the question than for the answer. Did cosplaying turn out to be harder than you initially thought when you got into it?
Holy shit. Yeah. Way harder, but also incredibly rewarding. It was something I completely did not expect, and hence why I'm still doing it like a decade later.
I'm not answering this question.
That's the best answer so far.
Also, at first, you
Especially
start
not
with just
today.
one piece, and you think that it's easy. You think that it's easy because you just made one piece, but then you see the whole cosplay, and you also get noticed that you have to make your own pants or your own shirt, and that takes more. And I'm talking about you. You did lots of costumes all by yourself, and from top to bottom. And that takes time. How many times have you been into cosplay?
I've been at this since the 1980s. So my first costume, my running gag is my first costume was Darth Vader, and you can see how much I've stretched creatively over the years. So the only reason you didn't see him this weekend is just because of the weather. Either I was sweat to death or I'd get electrocuted from all the electronics. Again, if you're following the character. But no, you're right. It all comes together the first time somebody that you don't know says, "Great costume, you look awesome." You know, it's horrible that you're being validated by strangers, but it also goes to your head, and that's what makes it really, that and winning money, if at all possible. But no, people saying "great costume," that's worth the effort.
You're the most veteran cosplayer here.
I'm the most veteran everything, trust me. Okay, a little bit of a sad question, but I think necessary. Have you ever given up on a cosplay?
On a cosplay or on the whole activity?
I don't know, either before you started, it's kind of easy, but like, have you really invested yourself in a cosplay and at some point saying, this isn't going to work, or I'm out of time, or it went together wrong, or just one mistake after another added up until you kicked it all in the garbage? You know, does that happen? I mean...
I had one of those, and we don't talk about that one. As everyone who just sort of knows me knows exactly what costume I'm talking about. It was a case of, at the point that I started, and by the point that I finished, my skill level grew so much that I looked at the first pieces and I hated them. So it also didn't help that the costume itself would not stay on me. So that's that. Remember that lesson that I was saying, like have it wearable at least halfway through the process? Yeah, that's a personal, very painful lesson that I had to learn. So, but otherwise I tend to give up costumes a lot. Just people don't tend to know about it, because if I'm either struggling with certain materials, can't find a certain item that I need, I'm just going to be like, okay, yeah, next. I've got others on the list.
As far as I remember, no. I was to the point to abandon it. This one especially, last night. But no, that was not the case. There were cases when I wanted to make a costume, bought the materials, and then just forgot about it. So I think, yeah, that's a sort of giving up on a project as well. But to give up, like to be not so okay with the result, no. I had like 10 crises in 10 minutes. But never actually thrown a cosplay in the garbage. I had an accident that way. That was when I learned I shouldn't do this, because I had a cosplay which involved wings about 3 or 4 years ago. I was so upset that the wings didn't turn out very well, so I put them in a bag, put them on my door outside. Went to the bathroom, and when I came back, I found out that the cleaning lady threw them to the block garbage. So I had to run 3 hours to find them. So that was the day when I learned, no, I should not give up.
Okay. That one I wouldn't see coming, the cleaning lady. Although, yes, I actually have... that was my mom. She didn't know any better. It's okay. We won't tell that story. But yeah, as far as how many crises you can endure before you give up on a cosplay, I remember one of the few times I was working on an older proton pack, and it was mostly wood because I was pressed for time. And you know those saws that the round blade sticks up out of the table and you push the wood? And nowadays they've got sensors in those saws that will immediately stop the blade if they sense that your finger is hitting the blade. Mine didn't have that. So, I've got a photo that I could show you later on if you're trying to lose your appetite. But I just basically taped it up, put a splint on, and finished the job. So, yeah, we can endure a lot, but sometimes you do get pushed past what you can. All right.
Guys, do you want to add something?
If
Yes.
I want to add something? Well,
Oh, yeah.
I haven't, I've been thinking of giving up cosplay a lot of times because, we all have our lives, our jobs, our real life, and this is only a hobby, and sometimes you don't have time to go back to your hobby and relax, because this is what I do when I get to sewing or crafting or doing something for a costume, I go there to relax. And there was a time 2 years ago when I thought to give up cosplay because of the time that I didn't have for this hobby. But things got better.
Yeah, typically a hobby means something you do to relax, and yet we still call cosplaying a hobby. Go figure. Okay. What is an impossible character that you would like to cosplay? Yeah.
I've always wanted to do something from StarCraft. There's a certain race there. I was fascinated by one of the classes. They had the knights, and they would just like phase in and out of view, and that to me seemed pretty fascinating. But then I like grew up a little, and I'm like, let's leave that over there. Let's not ruin that dream.
Okay.
Mark 50 Iron Man. Do you have nanotechnology? It's not like I'm going to a cosplay shop and actually ask for nanotechnology.
Okay. I don't know which of them. I thought maybe for a moment you were talking about the Hulkbuster, but no. I've actually seen people do that, so.
No, that's doable.
Yeah, okay. Nanotechnology. No. I mean, you could probably simulate it with like spray paint once, but that's about it.
But it has to fall out of you and rebuild in different areas. That's way too
okay.
much.
Not yet.
I'm still thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe the mecha for my diva.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
It's
I live under a
impossible for
rock
me.
with this stuff. So, but yeah, there is.
Yeah, that's a good point. Some of them are impossible for us.
Yeah.
Like, somebody out there has the skill set needed to accomplish that, but not me.
Somewhere in San Diego, someone's already done it, I'm sure.
For sure.
Okay, everybody gave their opinion on that one. Good. Oh, good.
I think it's Fenrir from Smite, or any certain characters that involve a kind of anatomy that can be found only in video games, which would be impossible to recreate. Sort of crossovers from animals and humans and something like this.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. All right. I just had an image. I'm letting it go. How does being in cosplay affect your mood? I'm sorry. How does being in cosplay affect your mood while you're in cosplay?
I have a good example. I was talking to Beatrix before we came here. Like we are here in front of so many people, and this week I was in front of 40 people, and I was so nervous. I was holding a presentation, but now I'm not nervous anymore. So maybe this costume allows me to get rid of my emotions, my anxiety.
For me, I have to say a bit about how I construct a costume, because when I build it for the pose. So whatever kind of like mood the character gives out, there has to be a certain pose, a certain posture. So more often than not, that ends up kind of like constricting me into into said characters. I'm kind of like in character whether I like it or not. But it goes progressively worse as the day goes on and the dehydration sets in, and then you've got the wig that's itching and hurting and constricting your head and giving you a migraine. So I guess that's part of the process.
All right. Beatrix, anything to add?
I think this question is for my mom, my family, my friends, and my dog. I cannot answer this question because...
I can for you, yeah, you do. A lot. And also to me, because as I said about planning, you have to assume the role. And at least in photos, you have to change the mood to actually match the character. So yeah, it does.
I would say that when I'm in cosplay, it's not so much a mood as more of an endorphins, and in the fact that, you know, I'm 55 years old, people, so imagine me trying to squeeze into this, or even worse, the Darth Vader. And, you know, you will hear sounds and you will learn words that you never heard before while I'm trying to get dressed in these things. And I will pull muscles that I didn't even know I had. But once I'm in the costume, I'm on top of the world. I'm walking around. I'm loving everything. People are loving me. You can come up to me and say, hey, you know, you're bleeding. I'm fine. You're sweating. I feel fine. You know, did you notice that like, you lost a leg a few yards ago? No, I feel fine. You don't feel the pain. You don't feel anything bad while you're in the cosplay, especially if you're in a very receptive environment. Later on, when you have to take the costume off again, and now it's everything that was when you were putting it on, coupled with sweat and sticky, and it somehow shrank 2 sizes while you were wearing it. So before, yeah, it's death. After, it's double death. While you're in the costume, it's like the world can't touch you. It's a great feeling. So, all right, we're going to try and squeeze one more question
Yeah, we've got
in here.
one more.
I'm sorry?
We've got one more.
One more, okay. I actually saved one for last because it's a nice one to end on. What would you say is the most valuable or your favorite skill you've developed from cosplaying?
For me, it's definitely armor making and learning how to choose to combine different materials and colors, because I think the color it's one of the most important thing when you do armor making.
Yeah, I'd pretty much say the same, because I found the passion for airbrushing and actually painting things real life. And I had a passion for painting before, but this is something that I can truly get lost in, and especially when I can go crazy and have creative freedom and add as many details as I can. It's one of my favorite things.
For me, sewing. I also like crafting, but sewing is my special thing that I have discovered over the years. I started with crafting, like my colleagues here, but I discovered that I can create things with fabrics, and I'm still discovering new things that I can do with them, and also the multitude of textures and a lot of colors that I can combine with fabrics. It's amazing.
And I want to talk about leatherwork and 3D printing, because cosplay got me into having to model my own 3D prints and work with leather for more accurate costumes, fake or natural leather. And that gave me a lot of joy, and I also use it for my day-to-day use. I model things for indoors, for in the house, or have leather belts for my dogs or something.
Okay. I can beat you all. But the most valuable skill you learn from cosplaying is fixing household objects. Your woodworking skills will come in handy when a leg falls off the bed. Your seamstress skills will come in handy when you try and even out the length of 2 curtains that somehow came out of the package 2 different sizes. You know, 3D printing. One of the stops fell off the toilet seat, and you've only got 3 left. So molding and casting. Oh, an oven lost one of the knobs, and you can't turn the heat on. You just take one of the other ones off, drop it in silicone, mold it in plastic, and now you've got a new knob. So if you're not doing that stuff now, trust me, you will be, and for the rest of your life. So, all right, on that very interesting question, we are going to break up because we're getting ready for our cosplay contest proper. So once again, let me thank our people here, Black Ace, Loopy the Lamb, and Beatrix, Deanna Smythe. I'm your host, Ken. You won't get rid of any of us because stay here. We'll be back in a few minutes for the cosplay competition. Thank you, everybody. Thank you here. See you in a few minutes.